Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try to change, something invisible pulls you back to the same old behaviors? Like there's a barrier between you and the success of transforming your life? Well, this is more common than you think, and you've probably experienced it before. How many times have you promised yourself that you'd change a habit, like waking up earlier, exercising, or eating healthier? And despite all the initial motivation, you end up falling back into old patterns. The truth is, there's a scientific reason for this difficulty, and it's linked to how our brain works. Let's start by understanding that your brain doesn't like change. Yes, it's designed to seek comfort and familiarity, which means that whenever you try to adopt a new habit, it goes into defense mode because it sees anything outside the routine as a threat. And that's where your comfort zone comes into play. It's that place where your brain feels at ease, without needing to spend much energy thinking or making decisions. This is great because it allows us to perform various tasks without having to think too much. But when we want to change those habits, the problem begins. Our brain resists because doing something new requires much more effort and energy. Now, here's an interesting fact. About 40% of our daily actions are driven by habits. This means that almost half of your day is governed by automatic behaviors. And if these behaviors are not aligned with your goals, it becomes clear why it's so hard to change the results you've been getting. As Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. As long as your habits remain the same, so will your outcomes. But why, after all, is it so difficult to break these patterns? The first answer lies in how we view change. Many people think it's just a matter of willpower. However, willpower is a limited resource. At the start of the day, you may be full of energy and determination, but as time passes and you face challenges and temptations, that battery runs out. By the end of the day, you fall into the same old traps. That's why people are more likely to break their diet at night after a long, tiring day at work. And here's the crucial point. Willpower alone is not enough to change habits. True transformation begins when you work on two main aspects: your identity and the environment around you. The power of identity in habit change. Let's talk about identity first. Often, the reason we fail in our attempts to change habits is linked to how we see ourselves. We try to change behaviors without changing our perception of who we are. For example, you want to lose weight, but you still see yourself as someone who lacks discipline. You want to be more organized, but you keep telling yourself that you're messy. You're trying to change without altering your perception of who you are, and this creates an internal contradiction. For habit change to be lasting, you need to see yourself as a new person. Otherwise, you'll end up reverting to your old habits. Everyone knows someone who suddenly managed to lose a lot of weight, but a few months later, they regained it all. If your goal is to be healthier, instead of thinking "I want to lose weight," start saying "I am a healthy person." When you change your identity, your behaviors naturally follow this new vision. After all, a healthy person makes healthy choices, right? An organized person keeps their environment in order. The impact of environment on your habits. Another key factor is the environment. Let's be honest. If your surroundings aren't aligned with the change you want to make, it'll be much harder to maintain a new routine. Want an example? Imagine you want to stop eating sweets, but every time you open the fridge, there's a bunch of chocolates calling your name. That makes the task much more difficult, right? Now, if you fill your fridge with healthy foods, the temptation will be much smaller. The environment plays a crucial role in habit formation. If you want to read more, you need to keep books within easy reach, where you can see them. If you want to be more productive, you need to eliminate distractions from your workspace. Your environment should align with your goals because it can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The secret is to make what you want to do as easy as possible and to make the behavior you're trying to quit as difficult as possible. Small steps, big results. Many people fall into the trap of trying to change everything at once. They decide they'll wake up earlier, eat super healthy, exercise every day, and improve their productivity at work, all at the same time. Does that sound familiar? The problem is that the brain doesn't like radical changes. It will resist, and you'll probably end up giving up. The key here is to start small. Small changes are easier to maintain, and over time, these small actions can add up to create a massive impact. Think of habits as a kind of compound interest. Improving just 1% each day may seem insignificant at first, but over the course of a year, that accumulated progress can make you 37 times better. Impressive, right? This concept became clear in a real-world example from the world of sports. The British cycling team, which had been irrelevant in international competitions for nearly a century. But in 2003, everything changed when they adopted the philosophy of marginal gains. Basically, they focused on improving 1% in every possible detail, from the design of the bikes to the mattresses the cyclists slept on. And 5 years later, the result was overwhelming success, with the team dominating the Olympics and the Tour de France. Overcoming the plateau of latent potential. Another obstacle many people face when trying to change habits is the so-called plateau of latent potential. You know when you start a new routine, and after a while, it seems like nothing is changing? It's frustrating, right? Often, this is the point where we give up. The issue is that initial progress is invisible. It's like stacking bricks to build a wall. At first, you can't see much, but over time, the results become visible. Persisting through this period is essential because the rewards only come after some time. And here's a valuable tip: celebrate the small victories. Every bit of progress, no matter how small, is an achievement that brings you closer to the bigger goal. How to apply this in your life? Now that you understand the importance of focusing on identity, environment, and small changes, let's talk about how to apply this in your daily life. Here are some practical tips to help you effectively transform your habits. Set clear goals, but focus on systems. Instead of only thinking about the final result, create a process that is easy to follow. Want to read more? Set a goal to read 10 pages a day. Want to start an exercise routine? Commit to walking for 10 or 20 minutes a few times a week. Or maybe do some squats and push-ups at home. Find, within your context and goal, what that 1% daily improvement would look like and focus on the process. Give it time, and when you look back, you won't even recognize the person you once were. Stack your habits. Link a new habit to something that's already part of your routine. If you already have coffee every day, use that time to add a few minutes of reading, for example. Many people do this with negative habits too. My dad, for instance, had the bad habit of lighting a cigarette every time he got in the car. Getting in the car was a trigger for the habit of lighting up. Take advantage of this mechanism in your brain and make one of your existing habits a trigger for a healthy habit you're trying to develop. Adjust your environment. Make change as easy as possible. Want to exercise? Keep your equipment visible and accessible. If you want to eat healthier, keep healthy foods within sight and don't keep the foods you want to avoid in the house. Remember, of course, that no food is inherently bad or a villain. Having that mindset can lead to developing an unhealthy relationship with food. You can eat whatever you want, as long as it's in quantities that align with your goal, whatever that may be. Changing habits isn't easy, but it's also not impossible. The secret lies in small, consistent actions, how you see yourself, and the environment you create around you. Don't rush. Understand that results will come over time, and focus on becoming the person you want to be. Remember, success isn't the endpoint but the journey you take every day. If you're committed to your personal development and want to keep evolving and leveling up, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, I always bring practical and powerful content to help you keep growing. And if this video helped you in any way, make sure to leave a like so that more people can be impacted as well. In the description, you'll find links to books that I've carefully selected, works that can completely transform the way you think and act. It's definitely worth checking out. And don't leave just yet. Take a look at the suggested videos here on the screen. They will help you even more on your personal development journey. See you there.